how do you manage sales rejection?
Rejection is a huge part of life in general. I want to cover another topic with this because failure and success within a company for salespeople gets discussed extremely objectively, and everybody believes they can comment on it. But failure and success of a product is often a team's or a company's failure as a whole. That's a very hard thing when you're in sales. It's because somebody can literally say, you didn't close that deal. That's actually the hardest thing about sales. Depending upon the kind of product, one part of our business deals with advertisers. So there's 500 advertisers. So there's coverage that you do. So you divide your teams into regions, etc. Then you're doing coverage. So then there's a funnel. So the rejection is part of the funnel. Basically, it gets narrower because of the rejections at every stage. And I think how to maintain the relationship, how to not take it personally, and how to go back with a renewed pitch the next time is part of it. And go into this little bit more in detail. On the other side, if we are selling to streaming platforms, गिन चुन के 7 streaming platform है. Now, funnel is not exactly the way to sell there. There, it's an all or nothing very often. Either you can sell to some of these 7 or you suddenly have an unsold product. Here, 500 में से कोई तो खरीद लेगा. And I can sell it in bits and pieces. Na? So if I have a web series selling to advertisers, I can either sell it all to one brand or I can divide it up, title sponsor, powered by sponsor, associate sponsor, किसी को बस एक ही episode बेच दिया. So I have a lot of maneuvering room to design my product for different appetite. And it's not a binary sale. Like my little like can add up. Here, it's binary. So in a way, it's easier to cover the entire market, have great relationships, etc. But it's binary. बिका या नहीं बिका, आधा सीरीज तो नहीं बेच सकते आप किसी प्लेटफॉर्म को. Based on these, you have to emotionally prepare your team very differently, and the strategy is completely different. One is parallel sales. If you could, 500 लोगों के पास same time पे चले जाओ. It's sequential. You prioritize, you sequential everything. Emotionally, as a leader, you have to award the effort and the process followed well. That's another big problem in sales because often closures are celebrated. I am also guilty of this in my sales review meetings. Agar number अच्छा है, then I don't go into the detail. I'll go into the detail अगर number में problem है. This is something which we are all guilty of. And actually, it's like the worst thing you can actually do. Because you might have a rock star closing deals without following due process in a very non-repeatable manner, wo chala gaya, to then it's a big problem. Whereas you might have a more meticulous resource closing slower, doing things the right way, handovers, check marks, this, that. So I think you have to also celebrate process. You have to celebrate if somebody did coverage very well. The intermediate steps on a funnel have to be celebrated. And in some way, the closure, there is a little bit of luck, timing, all of that. So sales rejection is a real thing. It demotivates people majorly, especially if their peers are doing well. And so as a leader, you can celebrate small wins or intermediate wins. You can also make sure that you're continuously dividing your clients well. These are competitive folk. The peer comparison means a lot. So make sure that all of them have an equal share of the potential pie. All of them have some very easy to convert clients, some more difficult, and some very hard ones. And then you can award more on the hard ones. But वो basic numbers सबको कर लेने चाहिए. Lot of iteration, lot of motivation. Some leaders will do it just with drinks and some leaders will do it differently. There are many ways, but it's a real thing. And everybody will question it. Whereas if your product doesn't perform, first of all, it's not such a 0 or 1. Secondly, you can hide it. And thirdly, it's often a team failure versus an individual failure.